Hi Catherine, so in this video we're going to look at Etsy and some of the tips to get the best from Etsy. So I think you're already selling on Etsy and some of these tips are going to be very similar to the eBay guide that I've just sent you as well. So the quickest way to find the help on Etsy, if you log into your Etsy account, go to Sell on Etsy. That'll bring you to an information screen and there's a little section down here if you click support. It will just then briefly bring you up a little bit, telling you there's going to be tips for success and how you can get help. And at the top here, if you go to the FAQ section and click on that, that links you to some frequently asked questions. But if you scroll down, you'll see there's the seller handbook. So if you click on that, and that's basically going to give you all the tools that you need to get the best from Etsy. So it's going to cover lots of things on there, about finances, about guides to pricing. You can find topics here about how to get found. So for example, if you click on that, you'll find they cover 5 tips for writing good listings. And then you've got things like keywords, everything that you need to know, the do's and the don'ts. You've got things like creating listings that are actually going to convert to sales. You've got some checklists of how to optimize your shop searches and various other bits and pieces that you can go through to help you get the best. And yeah, I think you're already selling on this, so you've got a fair idea. So if we just have a little look through some of this. So first of all, tips for writing descriptions. Exactly the same as the eBay one, really. You want short paragraphs with bullet points for the actual description. The title needs to be clear. So again, you need to be mentioning things like the color, what the item is, the size is quite good as well. And basically, yeah, there's various things that are very, very similar to your eBay listings, really. Probably the most important section, though, if we go back, is to actually think about keywords. Because on Etsy, if you don't have keywords in the right areas, it's basically not going to list your item. So it tells you basically there, the keywords are used in your title, in your tags, your titles, your descriptions, categories, and then your attributes. So basically, if you don't set up the correct keywords, so for example, if it's a cushion, you'll need the cushion in the title, you need cushion as a tag, you need cushion in your description, you need to put it in the cushions category, and then basically all of that works together to make it clear that that's an item that you're selling. Then also going back to that, the material, the color, all of those being in the titles and the description and the tags, all of that's going to help you as well. So categories and attributes, I think if you've put things on there already, it's quite obvious how to do that and how to use them. And that basically any attribute you add is going to help increase the shop's visibility and the listings that come up. Keywords as well. The title of the item, so the actual title of what you're listing, you need to focus on writing a short, clear, descriptive title that makes it easy for shoppers who are scanning a busy search to see what you're selling. So if you ever go on and look on Etsy, so if you're selling fabric, do some searches for fabric. The ones that come up first, it's a good idea to look at what they've used as a title, what they've used as a description as well, and that can really help you basically to sell and to come up on more searches. In addition to that, you don't want to add really long keywords because it can turn the buyers off your listing. And it might be quite difficult for them to understand at a glance. So something long, huge like that is okay, but you might want to go for something much more basic because that just looks a little bit more punchy. It's a little bit more readable. So as people are scanning through lots of items, they'll be looking for the ones that's really clear what it is that they're offering. So then the description, again, I like the use of bullet points. So people make a mistake on Etsy, they don't write much of a description. So they just say, well, it's a green cushion, that's it. But actually, there's more information like that, such as the fabric, such as the dimensions. There's things like that which really help. Another thing that's big on Etsy is people do love to back local. If you've got any sort of fabric suppliers or any items that are made in England, it's worth putting that on there because it has an impact. People quite like that if you've got any information to do with that. In your description, you'd also want to put any sort of brand names that it's associated with, if there are any. And yeah, you have to sort of overthink descriptions a bit, really, and making sure that the right keywords are in there, but there's as much information in the description as possible. Even if you think initially, well, it's just a cushion, I can't write much about it. Still think about what is the cushion made of. Is there any information on the tag that I can actually type into the description that might be useful? Dimensions, material, where it was made, if it's a supplied or a brand name, all of that helps. Tags, I won't get too much into tags. You don't need to go mad with tags, but tags are your opportunity to include 13 phrases that describe your product. So it is good practice to put multiple tags on if the multiple tags are relevant. And you'll see that it will give you advice on tags when you come to actually put the actual description and the item together. Don't repeat the tags. Don't include any misspellings. People think that's clever to misspell items. That might help. It doesn't actually, because it will just get corrected anyway. Yeah, and basically each section of that help is going to cover pretty much the things that I would have said to you anyway. Creating a listing that converts, obviously, that's really important. We covered on the eBay video that you can pay a little bit more money to get listed a bit more and to reach more people. Again, I would recommend trialing that on one Etsy item, because I think, again, it has impact. Although it may cost a little more, it's basically putting your product into more search results and promoting it higher up the list. So if someone's looking for, I don't know, let's say yellow curtains, if you've paid a little bit more money in your listing, you're more likely to appear at the top of those search results than other people. So it can have a big impact on basically selling more items. And I think actually the thing to do really with Etsy is to view it as, it may not be as successful for you in terms of volume of sales as eBay, but it's still really valuable because people are using Etsy all the time. It's particularly good for your industry. There's lots of people using it for interior design, and they want some bespoke things and one-off things. They're not looking for something they can just jump on Amazon and get. So with Etsy, my biggest tip is don't just put very generic things on Etsy, because they're just not going to really stand out. Anything you've got that's a little unusual. So for example, one of my customers sells animal cushions, animal curtains, and sort of specializes in that. So that really helps them to stand out, because then their brand is that. They don't really deter too much from that. Most of what they're doing is sort of animal-based fabrics and cushions and curtains and things like that. And that kind of helps them to establish a brand and an identity on Etsy if that's what they do. I realise that's not completely easy for what you're doing, but a good example is if you're looking at doing more premium products and then all of your listings are then premium products, that tends to work better for Etsy than just trying to sell everything on there. So yeah, Etsy, think of it as something a bit more bespoke, a bit more of a one-off type. People are looking for that on Etsy more than eBay, where they're just looking for just general furnishings and cushions and curtains. Etsy's a chance to sell something a bit more unusual, bespoke. That's kind of the crowd and the audience that are on Etsy, really. Yeah, so they'll give you lots of different searches and how to optimize your shop settings. And if you do get stuck, obviously you can have a go at setting one up, or send me a link to a product you already have set up, and I'll just go through a checklist and I'll give you some advice on, I think actually this is what could be done better, or we need more tags, or the description's not quite right. But a good tip as well of Etsy, obviously, is to actually go to Etsy and then type an item that you're selling. So if for example it was, I don't know, blue curtains, what you'll notice at the top in this sort of most loved section is the people who are paying a bit more to be there tend to be towards the top. Same with the people on these top higher rows tend to be more at the top. But the good thing about these items is exactly what we were saying, that you can see they've done close-ups. You can see they're putting photos of their items actually where they should be used, so the item looks right. If you're buying to purchase, some people prefer to see that, but some people much prefer to see what the curtain looks like hanging. You can get clever with videos like these people have, but that is a little bit more complicated. But as a general rule, this kind of close-up works okay, and actually showing the item as it may look is sometimes more useful. So if you click an item on Etsy, you can have a look at their description and how they've set everything up for that particular item. So again, they've got quite a simple description of what they're selling. Curtains, luxury. So again, that's quite a good, powerful word when you're looking at what people might be searching for. Navy blue. Again, rather than just say blue, they've put navy blue. It's got silver in it, so they've got silver as a keyword. And it's also got a grey colour in it as well, so they've listed that as a keyword. And then they've put bedroom and living room curtains, because someone may put that as a search term. They're looking for bedroom curtains, or they're looking for living room curtains. So yeah, there's lots of things to consider with that. This is a little bit more easy than eBay, because eBay won't encourage you to write a lot more in terms of description, have more setup. Here you're only really saying what it is you're selling. You've got a quick paragraph about it, and then you've got the sizing options, the length options, and then the buy button. So it's much more simple in terms of setting it up. But as an example, you can see this person's put multiple photos from multiple angles, and they've done close-ups. So if someone was not sure if this is the right item for them, obviously there's lots of different ways they can click and look and check if that is the right colour, or even see how it looks, when it's hung, and what does it look like next to other items. So yeah, I think that gives you a good idea of a good setup. Multiple photos, very clear description, with some very good keywords in it. Yeah, so that's kind of the basics with that. I don't actually ever sell on Etsy, so I haven't got a setup I can try. But if you get stuck, obviously I can go through it with you. We can also do a Zoom chat with a screen share, so we can do, if you're not sure how to set up the widths and lengths options, you can log into your account and we can jump on a Zoom call, share screens and go through it, or just meet up and go through it together if that's easier. But yeah, hopefully that's an overview of how to get to the help section for Etsy, how to make the best of listings, and what makes for a good listing on Etsy. Very, very similar to eBay, to be honest. It's just on here you don't type much of a description, whereas eBay, that's actually the really important part, is actually the description of your item. But yeah, over time with Etsy, like I say, keep things bespoke or unique. People don't often sell very plain things or very sort of standard things on Etsy, because people could just jump on Amazon and grab that. So quite often on Etsy, if you've got anything that's decorative or unique or bespoke, that's a better product to be putting on Etsy. So yeah, I hope that one helps as well, and as well as the eBay video. And I'll cover the shop setup in the next video. And thanks for watching.